You're here. That's right.
Y'all ready?
No.
Yes.
Good evening. It is 6:33 p.m. The Board of Trustees of LaPorte Independent School District is now convened. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present. Every student's success is our number one priority. As the LaPorte ISD Board of Trustees, we're here to set goals, adopt policy, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and communicate the district's vision and success to the community. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. School board meetings are open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. Audience participation is limited to the patron presentation portion of the meeting. Board members may not respond to the public comment section. These proceedings may be recorded, and I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking. Thank you for taking time this evening to join us and for your interest in the LaPorte Independent School District. At this time, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Carrying colors. Forward, march. Left, 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 right, right, left, 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 right. Part-time, march. Halt. Left, face. Present colors.
We join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Order, colors. Center, face. Center, face. Colors. Post. Ready, seat. Present arms. Order, arms. Center, face. Part-time, march. Left, 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 right, right, left, 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 right, left, right. Forward, march. Left, 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 right, right, left, 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 right.
The presentation of colors were provided by Cadet Private Taylor Pugh, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Kayla Ludwig, Cadet Corporal Megan Atkinson, and Cadet Private Michael Lear. Now, on the agenda, we have a last minute change, but the invocation this evening will be given by our Board Secretary, Jeff Martin.
Good night. Father God, we thank you first and foremost for this ability to come together tonight. We thank you for the freedom to meet. We thank you, Father, for the amazing students and the staff that hosted us in our dinner tonight. We thank you, Father, for blessing those children with such amazing talent. We thank you, Father, for all the students and administrators and the parents that are here this evening. We pray, Father God, that you continue to provide a hedge of protection around each and every one of them, our students, our families, our businesses. We thank you, Father, for coming to this world 2,000 years ago to save us. We thank you that it wasn't just 2,000 years ago, that you're still with us today, helping to guide and lead this district. I pray for wisdom, discernment for Dr. Jackson and his team as they go forth into the new year, Father God. But please give us rest and peace and just comfort and time with our family in these next few weeks. We thank you for that, Father. I ask that you please lift up Brielle Holland as she goes through her procedure, Father. We pray for a quick and complete recovery Please guide the doctor's hands as they perform her procedure later this week. And I ask that you lift up those that have lost loved ones, Father, specifically our friends, the Shoppy family, and the loss of their father. We thank you, Father, for Russell, for Todd, their leadership in our district, and ask that you give their family peace and strength and comfort as well. Father, we ask these things in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. We will go to item 7, board recognitions. We have student and business partner recognitions. Adam Holland. Board.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam Holland. I am the district's Director of Communications and Community Relations. And typically we push the older recognitions to the back of the bunch, but we have a couple of gentlemen here who have a basketball game that they're waiting on us to get them over there. No, seriously. Bulldogs cross-country runners Brady Axtell and Bryce Shawley capped off their LaPorte High School careers by competing in the UIL Cross Country State Championship meet, which was held on November 5th in Round Rock. Both runners qualified for the elite event after finishing 8th and 13th respectively at the UIL Regionals on October 25th. We want to congratulate both runners whose exceptional athletics and academic skills have enabled them to continue running at the college level. These gentlemen are coached by Mr. Ashley Stewart. Congratulations, y'all. Good luck tonight. Go get 'em. We're going to recognize some younger LaPorte Bulldogs. You may see them in the back of the room here. The LaPorte Bulldogs replaced the LaPorte Cowboys organization this year under the leadership of Matt Shipwash, who led the Bulldogs JV team to a 20-0 Super Bowl victory over the Tomball Titans on November 19th to become Division II champions of the Youth Football and Cheer Federation of America's Bayou City. Yay! And we've got a lot of Bulldogs and a lot of Bulldog coaches, and as your name is called, please come on up, and we have something for you, and then line up front here. We're going to get a photo with you guys and the board. Your JV Bulldogs are Tucker Nash, Jaden Garcia, Legan Brown, Gabe Para, Romani Parker, Cole Robertson, Gabe Coates, Brandon Lacey, Elijah Garcia, Bryant Ortega, Matthew Glazebrook, there Eli Cortez. Miguel Garcia. Jack Jordan. Keegan Willis. Caden Escobar. Wyatt Aubrey. Devin Hawkins. Jesse Pettis. Cam Wallace. Kasai Richard. Cooper Loomis. Jason Abshire. Landon Rohano. Zeke Pena. Caesar Guzman. Austin Hall. Noah Taylor. Madden Shipwash. Eric Cerna. Braden Noel. It looks like we've all the Bulldogs we've recognized. So let's Sebastian Mania. Let's give him a hand. Absolutely. And now the coaches. Congratulations to y'all. Excellent. Shane Willis. Tyrell Hawkins. Scott Oliver. Bear Ortega. Eric Hatter. Randy Cortez. Matt Shipwash, the president and head coach. Justin Dyer. Adam Aubrey. And I've been involved with enough youth sports that I know that there are some team moms that probably also made this happen. So thank y'all and congratulations to you as well. Did I miss anyone? Athletic director, how did I miss the AD? Hey, real quick, before we go any further, we would like to have an honorary member of the Bulldogs. Right? First and not last reading report. I won the state championship. Hey,
administration, we'd like to thank the principals and the 5th grade teachers that helped us keep these guys hydrated during the summer. We had ranges from 6-year-olds all the way up to 12-year-olds, so that was 1st grade teachers through 7th grade teachers. And we really appreciate that. That meant a lot to allow them to get hydrated and stay hydrated through the day, so thank you. All these goodies around. We heard about a new stadium, maybe the paperwork will fit here. Come on, Coach.
Way to go, Bulldogs!
Tighten up. Yeah, back up.
Okay, everybody, that's for us. Hold on, let's
Jump 3 times.
Congratulations, boys.
Yeah, we got more.
And we have 2 more students that we would like to recognize. 2 of the Port FFA students won runner-up at their state leadership development events on December 2nd. Melanie Raimundo took 2nd statewide. Melanie's statewide runner-up was for the Spanish Creed event at the competition. Sophia Guajardo Salinas she was runner-up in the Green Hand Spanish Creed, and that's a competition for students in grades 7 through 9. So that means she's going to be here a few more times before she graduates high school. The students, by the way, are judged on their accuracy, time, and delivery. Purdue FFA advisors are Carrie Hicks, Erica Espidia, and Deanna Morris. Thank you all, and congratulations.
Front row to speak now. Okay, there you go. All right. It's okay.
Good money, I believe.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations, y'all. And that completes the student recognition portion. Now I'm going to hand the microphone over to my old friend, our Partners in Education Coordinator, Terry Cook, who has a recognition of her own. Thank you.
At each of our board meetings, the Porte ISD will be recognizing one or more of our outstanding business partners as Partners of the Month to show our appreciation for their involvement in and support of the Porte ISD and our staff and students. Tonight is an honor to recognize a very special local businesswoman as she retires from the insurance industry, but will continue her work in a multitude of volunteer efforts to help make our community a better place. Beth Brady of Beth Brady Insurance is a longtime supporter of our district and its students. Here are just a few of the things that she has been involved in during her career. She represents the Rotary Club of LaPorte as the liaison with the LaPorte High School Interact Club and has served in this role for more than 6 years. This allows her to be a mentor for the high school students with whom she works to encourage their community service. She actively advertises in LaPorte ISD publications and makes donations to various LaPorte Bulldog teams and schools. As she once told me, if a kid has the courage to walk into her place of business and ask for a donation or an ad, she's going to do it. She has consistently donated door prizes for LaPorte ISD convocations. As a board member of Methodist Retirement Communities, she encourages connections between senior citizens and high school students. She has represented the community in Shattered Dreams, the LaPorte High School event to encourage students not to drive while impaired by alcohol or drugs or while texting. She has also participated in the reality fair hosted by the Beacon Federal Credit Union at LaPorte High School, helping students to understand the purpose and costs associated with insurance. In addition, she has regularly participated in the LaPorte ISD Wellness Fair and has served on a variety of committees. As a U.S. board member for Joy to the World Christian Academy in Ghana, Beth worked with Dr. Jackson and Candace Oliveras to take LaPorte ISD's positive impact across the world. Dr. Jackson spoke to the Academy students via Zoom, during which he was able to encourage them and emphasize the importance of education. One recent LaPorte High School graduate who was an Interact Club member had this to say about Beth. Mrs. Brady is a wonderful person and has contributed to my smile everywhere I see her. She made me happy to be of service in my community. And Tiffany Vaughn, the sponsor of the LaPorte High School Interact Club, said this: Beth Brady is a woman of action. She puts her hands to work to make our community a better place. She has worked quietly behind the scenes for the last 6 years as a liaison for the LaPorte High School Interact Club. She has always helped the club to become successful with every project and mentorship for our youth leaders. She gave when no one else would give, and she gave her very best. What I love most about Beth is her beautiful smile and her voice of encouragement. She never wants recognition, and she really doesn't. She doesn't like the spotlight at all, yet she only wants to give her best to her youth. Like I said, Beth doesn't like the spotlight, so I'd also like to acknowledge her son, Brandon Hancock, and her granddaughter, Penelope, who were instrumental in making sure that she got here tonight. While Beth is retiring from her business, we can rest assured that she will not be retiring from her commitment to community service, and for that we are also very grateful. Please join me in thanking Beth Brady for her partnership with LaPorte ISD and her countless contributions to the children of our community. I'm so red. I'm shaking.
See, this is one night that you have to put up.
I'm a little shaky. This is
Come on.
Don't worry, I have more time.
Okay. Board, before we proceed any further, just make sure for tonight's meeting, when you're speaking, if you could make sure you speak into the microphones, because, you know, we do have people listening at home, and so they want to make sure they can hear us. So if you would just make sure when you're speaking to kind of speak in the microphone, and also as a reminder to kind of keep your cell phones away from the microphone for the kind of interference and static, okay?
Right.
So, okay. So with that, we'll go to item 8, public comments. The board will now hear those who wish to make comments and have completed and returned the public comment participation request. This section will be conducted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act and board policy. Complaints and concerns for which other resolution channels are provided shall be directed through those channels. Mr. Shoppy, do we have anyone?
Yes, we do. We have one, Mr. Philip Hoot from Seabreeze. He wants to talk about taxes.
Welcome, Mr. Hoop.
So, Philip Hoot, well, it's tax time. I'm sure everybody's gotten their tax forms. And so I'm here to talk about the biggest lies that all politicians and all bureaucrats tell. So it's not just limited to y'all, it's all politicians and bureaucrats. Most of you may know some of this, some of you may not. If you look on your HCAD report, if you own your home, you'll notice two things. One will show market value, and the other will show the taxable value. If your market value is greater than your taxable value, I'll give you one guess what your tax is going to do next year. The first biggest lie they tell you is somehow, miraculously, the increase will be below the recapture rate. I don't know how that happens, but one thing you got to understand, there's 3 types of lies. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. One of the ways that happens is if you look at how the taxes are increased, homesteads which are exempted can only go up 10%. Non-homestead properties can go up whatever they want to. If you'll see the paper I pass around, if you're hurting the disadvantaged and the minorities, rental houses, taxes on that piece of property went up 46% in 1 year. So guess what rent's going to do? And guess who gets hurt by rental increases? The people that can least afford it. The other thing is you know, people sit there on homesteads and say, well, I'm homestead, I'm going up 6%. Well, guess what? Commercial buildings aren't capped either. That means your grocery store prices are going up. That means your gas station prices are going up. That means anything that you buy is going up because their taxes are going up significantly. They're going up anywhere from 30 to 40% a year, and that's every year. And then we have come to the other one, your big industrial districts. Guess what? HCAD loses every court case. Industrial district taxes, theirs will go up less than 0.5%. So while you're increasing taxes on people that can least afford it, that can rent, and minorities and disadvantaged people, the big people are they're nothing going up. The other lie that you'll hear every year, and it's probably the biggest lie, is I'm not increasing your taxes, HCAD's increasing your taxes. BS. What happens is every year y'all have to approve HCAD evaluations. That means when y'all approve HCAD evaluations, you're increasing taxes, not HCAD. You are. So when HCAD evaluation, when you say, well, I'm going to vote against that, well, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse will come down and strike you dead is what you'll be told. But guess what? As with any vote, there's always 3 things you can do. You can vote yes, you can vote no, and you can vote I don't know. So if you got to vote for it, why do you vote? So that's not true. You can vote it down. You can do something else. And what's going to happen is over this next year, You think inflation's bad? Phew, nothing's what's gonna happen to taxes this year. Y'all need to think about that when y'all think about floating this bond. 'Cause I read the bond, it says, oh, we're gonna keep the rate the same. Oh, give me a break. Nobody cares what the rate is, they only care what they pay. And that's the way you need to look at it. Not that you're keeping the rate the same, you need to look at what you're gonna charge the people of this district that can't afford it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoot. Okay, we'll go to item 9, public hearing on the amended and restated number 1 agreement for limitation on appraised value between the district and Lyondale Chemical Company, Texas Comptroller application number 1200 pursuant to chapter 313 of the Texas Tax Code. Do we have a presentation?
Do we have a presentation, or is it just?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so we're interested in the hearing? Okay. Okay. With that, we'll open the meeting at 7:04 p.m. Anybody like to wish to come up and speak on the agenda item? Going once, going twice. Okay. I don't see anybody coming up, so with that, we'll close the public hearing at 7:04 p.m. Okay, we'll go to item 10, administrative reports. Dr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we head into the winter holidays, I want to provide you with a brief summary of the many great things that are happening in LaPorte ISD, and this is the conclusion of our fall semester. So I'd first like to say I was so proud of our students at Christmas on Main, where their spectacular musical, dance, and American Sign Language performances drew huge crowds. We appreciate the efforts of our maintenance department working with the city of LaPorte to pull off such a magnificent event. Only in a town this size can we host such a wonderful event as Christmas on Main, and we appreciate everyone's efforts and support. Since we last met, 2 LaPorte FFA students who we just recognized were one runner-up in the state leadership development events, and also more than 40 student athletes were named to all district teams and our academic all-district teams in football, volleyball, and water polo. Yes, you heard me correctly, water polo. We're very excited to have water polo in our district, and thriving, by the way. Meanwhile, 3 of our student standouts, athletes, signed national letters of intent to continue their athletics and education at the collegiate level. Our performing arts students have also earned their share of accolades this fall. 9 of our junior high students and 20 high school students earned all-region band honors. 3 high school band students additionally qualified to compete at area, which is the next step towards becoming an all-stater. In keeping with our mission to grow leaders from within and to sharpen our saws, we continue to facilitate leadership development events, including our Assistant Principals Academy, Aspiring Leadership Program, and the Holsworth Center Collaborative. In fact, we are participating in a Holsworth session this week to hone our leadership definition. As one of our newest partners in education and LaPorte Education Foundation supporters, Raising Cane's invited LaPorte ISD to play a major role in its grand opening last week on December 8th. Members of the Chatos and the LaPorte High School cheer team performed for an audience of Cane's employees and executives. The Chambers of Commerce, the LaPorte Bayshore and Deer Park Chambers of Commerce, and more than 100 people who lined up to win free canes for a year, and I wasn't lucky enough to win that. Raising Cane's also presented a $2,500 donation to the foundation. On the same day, another partner, Gulf Coast Educators Federal Credit Union, donated another $1,500 to our school district. Speaking of the LaPorte Education Foundation, the foundation awarded 97 grants to teachers and administrators in LaPorte ISD on November the 17th, totaling $101,515 to fund innovative classroom projects. I think we should clap and say thank you to the foundation for that. The Foundation's Dollar Patrol, which is comprised of Foundation members, donors, school district officials, and community members, travel to all the campuses in the district to award grants to teachers. Please join me at this time in congratulating our very own Dr. Dustin Bromley on earning his doctoral degree. He's earned his doctoral degree from Lamar University, and we're very proud of Dustin and Dr. Bromley. Dr. Bromley and I are crisscrossing the district as we speak and visiting campus staff meetings to update them on a potential bond exploration package. Finally, I've had the pleasure of visiting numerous district campuses during the holiday celebrations, and I can tell you that the Christmas spirit is alive and well in LaPorte ISD. Several district administrators, city officials, and other volunteers and I have all experienced the joy that many of you experienced tonight with our students singing from Heritage, reading holiday stories, and holding sing-alongs with our elementary students. We have had suppers with Santa, winter wonderlands, even a Christmas at the barn by our FFA students, which provides holiday fun for the youngsters while helping provide food to our neighbors in need. And then yesterday, all the district's fifth graders were treated to a wonderful Christmas program at Bulldog Center that featured the LaPorte High School Orchestra, band, and choir. And this will conclude my update to the board for this fall semester. We'd like to thank our principals and all of our district administrators and all of the support staff and teachers for helping us to have such a successful fall semester. That'll conclude my comments, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Go to item 10B, legislative priorities update.
Just really quickly, Mr. President and board members, I'd like to share this with you. And this document comes from the Texas School Alliance. But I want to say that LaPorte, on behalf of yours truly, I believe that our mission and vision and values align with the legislative priorities of the Texas School Alliance. What happens generally is school districts all over the state develop these legislative priorities, but they really are in sync with what most of us want to see. And I'd just like to highlight just a couple of them, and so that our principals, I'll share this with our principals and our district leadership team as well. But we do believe that there should be a focus this year in the legislative session when we come back in January on making investments that reflect the true cost of educating students. Schools continue to face significant increases in expenses for fuel, supplies, and other costs, as well as wage pressures at a time when state investments in public education have stalled. And so we're asking our state legislature to really consider making an investment that reflect the true cost of what it costs to educate students. The next one that we'd like to focus on is asking the legislature to provide the resources and flexibility for school districts to improve student safety. And we clearly know that the governor has spoken clearly and decisively on this, and we certainly support that. Our efforts, I'd like to thank Dr. Bromley and his team and our principals and all of our support staff for all that they do to help us to make certain that we are doing everything in our power to maintain a safe campus for all students and staff. But we're asking the legislature to also place a major focus on that as well. And then thirdly, we'd like to request that the legislature strengthen efforts to help us to recruit and retain qualified educators, not just teachers, but educators across the board. Comparatively low pay and challenging working conditions have caused a spike in the number of teachers leaving the profession or considering doing so, and have made it difficult for school districts to place a certified teacher in every classroom. And this is not just in the greater Houston area, it is across the state and across the nation. And so we're asking that our legislature really take a close look at that. And I think we all agree that that certainly is a priority for LaPorte ISD. Fourthly, reform state accountability standards to better measure student success. We know that we cannot consider placing all of the value of a student and a teacher on one day and one test for 3 hours or 4 hours. And so while we believe that we need to be measured and we need to be held accountable, we want to make certain that the measurements and the state accountability that we are being held to, it's fair, and it's consistent, and that it's clear, and that it gives a glimpse of what we are doing in our schools, but it cannot and should not tell the whole story of that. And then lastly, we want to ask that the legislature ensure that public dollars fund only, in my opinion, and this may not be the will of the board, but I'm sharing it, public schools. There's lots of talk about other schools receiving public dollars, and they are not held to the same standard. In fact, many of the schools that want to receive public dollars to educate students do not have a governing board of this magnitude. And many of them are not held to the same standards that you are held to. Their leaders do not have to hold superintendent certifications and have to have what it is that we have to have in order to run schools where, you know, finances and fiduciary responsibility are paramount. And so we're asking that we agree that we hold the state accountable for holding people to the same standards if you're going to use state funds and public funds for those kinds of things. And I'll open myself up to any questions from the board as far as these legislative priorities. They're the same for the most part for most districts in the whole state of Texas.
Board, do you have any questions for Dr. Jackson?
I don't have a
Comments?
question, but I have a comment. Through Leadership TASB on my group's capstone project is recruitment and retaining educators.
Yes.
So that is a big deal for sure throughout the state. And I'm learning a lot from, you know, districts size 900 to district size
90,000.
Yes, 90,000 of different challenges in different places. Some that don't have teachers, some that have an abundance of teachers, some that are, you know, have 40 and 50 openings, and it's just a crazy world right now in education.
Well, I'm gonna make a comment on the same bullet point on the strengthening efforts to recruit, and I kind of read the paragraph, but what it doesn't mention, and I think should be mentioned, is that our retired teachers and those who retired from a profession have not received the cost of living increase
Correct.
in the last 20 years, and I think as far as recruitment, not only as far as salary while performing duties in the profession, but also knowing that they'll be taken care of once they leave the profession and retire. So I think that should also be included in this as well.
Yes.
Agreed. That will conclude my comments, Mr. President.
Okay. Thank you. Board, do you have any further comments? Okay. With that, we'll go to item C, bond update. Dr. Bromley?
Dr. Brown. Let's get it done.
All right. Good evening, Board President Yonda, Board of Trustees. Tonight, briefly, very quickly, I'll be giving you an update on where we are as far as bond expiration. Like Doc said, him and I have been splitting up the district here in the last 2 weeks and spending some time with our campuses to really review the why behind this is even a possibility, and you know, some of the reasonings and the package component, which I'll review tonight for you, of what it may look like when we come to you possibly in February. December 5th, we had our last bond steering committee meeting. It was very successful. We were able to kind of layer out some different dollar figures and really try to outline what exactly this looks like so far in the plan, and I'll talk a little bit at the end, but the plan in January is to refine that and look at a workshop with you guys to really provide you the information that you need, and obviously in February bringing you a recommendation. So if you look at what the bond proposal looks like as we sit here today, we're really truly outlined at what we see as 3 propositions, and mostly because by state law they have to be split apart. In 2019, the state passed Senate Bill 30, which outlined any facility, stadium facility that seats over 1,000 in a capacity stance has to go on a separate ticket or a separate proposition. And then as far as technology, it changed. Non-integrated technology, so really when you think of devices, kind of that one-to-one initiative component, it also has to go into its own proposition. So If you go back to 2014, it looks very different than what it looked like then. At that point in time, this wasn't in place, and everything fell under one proposition. So when someone went to vote, they voted on Proposition A, yes or no, and so forth. In our case, if this goes through and you guys make that decision to call for the bond in May, there would actually be three propositions that the voter would have to vote on. As far as A, it's generally what we know. I've had some conversations with you, shown you some of the district side, the operational component, the project side. We're really spending some time on how each campus will be affected, because every campus will be a part of the bond, whether it be through upgrades, painting, security across the board, obviously technology on both sides in Proposition A and in Proposition B. So in A is really the district component, whether it be projects and renovations and so forth. B, again, it will be a smaller package because it will strictly have our one-to-one. So the initiative in that, and I'll spend some time here in a second on it, would be to push our laptops down all the way from kinder to 12th grade, with right now 8th grade down possibly being cart driven, so them staying on campus in a cart, not taken home, just for, you know, the ability to keep them and stay away from the damage charge that we may have. But also something new in that that's gained some attention is getting our staff members laptops. That's something new for us. We do have a program called TIPS that we do now, but the staff members have to pay a fee in order to have a device. This would eliminate that, and they would get a device to be able to teach and use in their classroom. And then we know Proposition C is Bulldog Stadium. So when you look at A, and there's more to it, but just generally speaking, to give you an idea, obviously safety is going to lead the forefront of that. If you look back, there's a lot of grants that we'll be looking at and applying for here after Christmas pertaining to silent panic alarm systems. There's a formula grant that's come out that's allotted some money to us as a district as far as fencing and perimeters and resistant film. So we're going to be continuing to look at that, but obviously the bond, this new bond, would play a heavy role in looking at all our practices to ensure that the biggest thing is getting us uniform, that you don't go to one campus and get this experience and go to another one and get another experience. Obviously district M&O operation budget, we've got a lot of our budgets wrapped up into bond, so continuing those reoccurring components. Integrated technology, so in the wall infrastructure type, server, fiber, those type of things can stay in a package. It does not need to be separated because it's not portable, right? Obviously fine arts is a part of that, and then each campus having some sort of upgrade, possible renovations, and a lot of that's still kind of being planned out. But generally speaking, A is pretty standard as far as safety, some technology, and then district-based needs. When you look at B, as I stated, so, you know, the piece in this that's a little different. We go about to 3rd grade right now, give or take, but this will push us one-to-one across the entire district. And as I stated, from 8th grade down, that would be kind of a cart-based driven component to where we can kind of manage the fees that we're dealing with and some of the damaged pieces. And then the teacher-employee laptops, that's new. The standard that we're looking at right now for our teachers, they would have a docking station in their classroom, so that laptop would essentially be portable. They could plug that in, it would be connected to monitors, so that would give them the ability to grade papers and connect there, and then they also could pick that up. Obviously wireless projectors would be throughout, so it changes the scope of what we're doing. We push interactive teaching, but we got to give them the tools to be able to do that type of teaching. And then the classroom refresh is a part of that with the wireless projectors and sound upgrades. So that's essentially B. And then we know C is the stadium. The plan in January is to have a workshop and really walk you through entirely of what all this looks like with numbers to it. We're still trying to finalize all of that. So I didn't want to put that in front of you tonight, but when we come back in January, working with Doc, we'll have a date outline to be able to really thoroughly go through that and present, you know, where we are as far as a number. I can tell you with what we've got, this is kind of how it's breaking down from a percentage stance. So Proposition A and the whole bond itself as a package is around 70% of the bond overall. 23% is in C, and then 6% is in B. Now again, it's important to note that when this goes for election, or not election, when this goes for vote, they're all separate. So it's important that we communicate that. You don't click the button and all of them get voted on. They'll have to individually vote on that as far as what's a part of each one of those. And then lastly, again, in January, outlining a board workshop to detail the finance and the capacity as far as where we are from a tax stance. We did that with the steering committee, and I think that was very helpful because it gave us some history on where we are and some of the great work that finance and the administration has done, you guys, as far as, looking at refinancing debt and interest rates as well as paying off bonds. So that's good. And then a breakdown of each one of those propositions with numbers. And then obviously with February, that will be coming up on the deadline to actually call for the bond. Okay. Any questions for me?
I have a couple.
Okay.
On Proposition A, are there any new campuses or replacement of campuses?
So with the steering committee, there's a little bit, not a little bit, there's a pocket of money that we're looking at possibly doing some major projects with that, but we're still working through what those look like. So we'll know that by the time we have that workshop, it would be some of those. But no, not a brand new building to a degree of a school. No.
Okay. All right, and on B, the teacher laptop change that you're talking about, have we talked to teachers and is that what they want?
Yes, I would say that's overwhelmingly.
That was overwhelmingly a positive response when we were
I'm
talking.
looking for principals, they're shaking their heads. Okay.
And we're going to work through the system of coming out of the tips and how do we do that.
Just tell us if you don't want that,
Yeah.
principals.
No, they're shaking their heads.
No, that's when we go to the campus, that's the crowd favorite.
Okay, they're shaking their heads, so, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Those
Okay.
are my two questions.
Board, do y'all have any other questions for Dr. Bromley?
Can I ask, this is kind of a finance question, I guess. I know we've set aside about $1 million for future bond planning, so I assume that's for architect fees, things like that. And hopefully the bond passes, but if it does pass, will that be rolled into the actual bond, or is that something we're on hook for on the M&O side, or how does?
As far as current with that,
Yeah.
as far as what we're paying currently, it's actually a part of the pass bond. So through 14, we've reallocated some of that
Okay.
to handle it. We can reimburse ourselves in the
Gotcha.
bond.
Perfect, thank you.
And I do want to clarify on the B package also, that the teachers currently are subscribing to their own service. That's out of their own pocket.
Yeah, it's a system, and Eddie, you can help me as far as how it works, but it's a monthly fee, right? So it's not, it's like a payment plan.
Right.
Payroll.
Payroll deduction, but it's something that this would offset that cost and put the money back in their pocket.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
They would not have to pay anything for it, right? And we would have replacement cycles built into it, so every 2 to 3 years, however we build that out.
I would like that way better for the
Yeah.
teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome.
Dr. Bromley, when would we need a call for this bond to put it on the May election? Would it be coming in January, or when would we have to-
February
It's
17th.
February at the regular call.
Yes.
Um,
That's why we want to have a workshop as soon as we get back in January, so that you can feel really comfortable with hearing all of that stuff together as a board. Okay.
go ahead, go ahead.
Clarification. For the sound upgrades, it says under the complete classroom refresh. Does that also include the sound systems in the cafeterias and things like that, or is that included in Prop A?
That will be in A as far as
Okay.
the theater type cafeteria setting. What this sound upgrade is, when we're looking at our projectors right now, we're looking at the sound system as far as the speakers in the classroom to possibly mount it on the projector piece.
Okay.
So that's more classroom, but we do have that in A, yes.
Okay.
Any of those that have been identified.
I have a couple of questions. I'm going to kind of look at Chris on the legal, because I know now with the new law, it has to be broken out, and I guess there's a certain as far as what is A, what's B, and C, and I know some school districts have 4 propositions, and we're going 3. So I was just saying what the one that's the missing proposition that we're not doing, I guess, because I know some school districts have had 4 propositions as opposed to 3. Is there a particular, I don't know if any kind of set, or is that just the way they kind of structure their bond, maybe?
I haven't seen a 4th unless they were doing 2, I don't know that anybody's done 2 stadiums. At the same
Or 2
time.
event center, like an event center or something like that? Okay, okay.
That may be what the 4th
The
is.
4th one, okay, yeah, okay.
Maybe a stadium and a big center.
And I guess my question is on the Proposition C on the stadium. Have we ever approached, and I know this involves a lot, as far as planning and the layout of the stadium, and all that, have we approached the city of LaPorte about closing Texas Avenue?
We are in current talks with them. We met with them about 2 or 3 weeks ago, showing them kind of where we were. We talked through Texas as far as where some of our planning and where our site is setting, and we're in conversation with some of that, obviously.
Okay.
That will enhance over Christmas as we get back as to what that looks like.
Okay.
But there will be, improvements will need to be made on G Street. because now that's going to be the entry point in this plan. So
And the
yes,
city is
Texas
aware of
is a
that.
talking point as far as what that looks like.
And the other thing is, have we kind of looked at what the numbers, I know you got the percentages and A, B, and C, what the numbers are going to look like, what the total, where we're looking at, as far as a ballpark number, or where we're looking at?
We
Or is
do,
that still?
David, we can share that. I'm sorry, Dr. Bromley, but, you know, we don't want to share that out.
Right.
And have to change it. And
Right,
so
sure.
we will have that for us, for the board in January, more definitive, because it'll be a lot more definitive.
Okay.
All right. Well, we have some ballpark figures of that, but we just are not ready to start posting that, and then that ends up all over Facebook or what have you, and then we have to kind of turn around and say that that's not the actual one.
And I kind of like to see, maybe when we do maybe a possible workshop or something in January, when we come back to this with the bond, as far as the breakdown on these propositions, really looking at kind of like what we absolutely need and what kind of like on the wishful, or wishes, you know, wants. And, I like to kind of see that kind of broken down, because I'm just a little leery right now as far as what kind of amount we may come up with, you know, so I kind of like to see kind of a little bit more of a breakdown on those individual propositions at a future date,
Right.
so.
And I think it's important to note, the work that is being done is excelling now that we're getting to January, but you know, the idea, it's not trying to hide anything, but we've not called it yet. So the marketing side of, you don't want to push it before it even is called. So, you know, we want to provide you guys the information thoroughly before the numbers start to get out there. I don't think they're scary, but as far as what that looks like, you know.
We want them to be as closely accurate
Yes.
as possible.
Yeah. There's still some decisions to be made as far as the steering committee.
Is it okay to say this, that, I'm just skeptical, right? I've been so impressed with this administration's, willingness, ability to go in and really work within the confines of numbers that aren't going to affect our tax rate. Like, I mean, appraisal is one totally different beast, but we are operating within the confines of our current tax rate. And you guys have been doing some miraculous things that people will be surprised, pleasantly surprised, hopefully, once we do get that number, that we're hopefully not going to be even proposing to raise their tax.
When we started with this, and now it's been a year and a half ago, but when we started, the whole thought was, how do we do this and not raise taxes? So that was our starting point.
I don't recall, and I'm younger, but I don't recall that ever being done here before, right? So it's very impressive, and hopefully we can get this pushed through.
I want to go on record with two questions. One, you know, the general fund, and there's questions about the fund balance on occasion, and these propositions. I know we've got maintenance, purchase of new buses. If we intend to replace 4 buses every 2 years, you know, can I take that purchase and put it in our general fund and still have a balanced budget? Or do I have to have a bond to buy new buses, for example?
Yeah, in our case, as far as how we're structured and what previous administration has done, each time a bond has come up is they've gotten smart with how they've done it to alleviate staffing and programs in the general fund. And because of that, yes, we do.
Okay, and bonds are exempt from recapture.
That's exactly right, 100%.
So it's 100% our money.
That's right.
Whereas our general fund is at the mercy, our tax revenue is at the mercy of the state.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
Which goes to show, you know, when people say, well, oh my gosh, well, these ISDs going out to debt, where the school finance system, the way we're operated,
It's built for that.
It's built for that.
It favors debt.
That's exactly right.
And unfortunately, that's the kind of the operating system we're living in, and I hate that, but, you know, it's just...
You're exactly right. That's how it's set up for the purpose of this there.
But,
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 11, consent agenda. A, determine and approve any consent agenda items. B, approve board meeting minutes. Number 1, regular board meeting minutes, November 8, 2022. C, receive principals' reports. Number 1, Early Childhood Center. Number 2, Bayshore Elementary. Number 3, College Park Elementary. Number 4, Heritage Elementary. I'd like that pulled, please. Number 5, Jenny Reed Elementary. Number 6, LaPorte Elementary. Number 7, Leo A. Rizzuto Elementary. Number 8, Lomax Elementary. Number 9, James H. Baker 6th grade campus. Number 10, LaPorte Junior High. Number 11, Lomax Junior High. Number 12, LaPorte High School. And number 13, Villa DeWalt High School. D, receive financial reports for November 2022. E, approve budget amendment.
Can you pull E, please?
Okay. F, receive human resources report. G, approve employment of professional staff. H, adopt a resolution number 2022-14 for Series 2012 bond redemption.
Oh, pull that, please, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Full H.
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
I, adopt a resolution number 2022-15 amending text pool authorized representatives. J, adopt a resolution number 2022-17 support for Texas 21st Century Community Learning Centers, CCLC, managed by communities in schools of Brazoria County, CIS. K, approve authorized representatives for Lone Star Pool. L, approve execution of interlocal agreement for Region 18 TIA services. M, approve purchase of smart tag subscription for Transportation Department. N, approve purchase of special education contracted services. O, approve second semester regular school board meeting schedule.
Pull that, please.
Okay. P, approve second reading and adoption of TASB local policy revision to local policy FMH local. Q, receive and approve first reading of TASB local policy revision to local policy CO local. R, receive and approve first reading of TASB local policy revision to local policy DEC local. S, receive and approve first amended and restated agreement for limitation on appraised value pursuant to Chapter 313 of the Texas Code with Lyondell Chemical.
Can you pull that, please?
Okay. T, adopt a resolution number 2022-16 for amendment to resolution and findings of fact pursuant to Chapter 313 of the Texas Code with Lyondell Chemical. Mr. Sharpie, do you mind reading back the consent agenda, please?
Yes, sir. A, B, C 1 through 3, and C 5 through 13, D, F, G, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, T.
Okay, board, seek a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Ms. Thompson, made the motion, seconded by Mr. Sharpie. Okay, call for the vote. Okay, it's passed unanimously. Thank you. We'll go to item C4, Heritage Elementary, and I just want to make a comment on that. We had the privilege of the great singing by the Heritage Choir, 4th graders, and during our little holiday dinner, and I just want to recognize them and thank them for an excellent performance. And so I'd like to give a round of applause for them. Under the leadership of Ms. Lupo, who has done a fantastic job over there. And so with that, board report don't require a vote, so we'll go ahead and move on to item E, approved budget amendment.
And this is just a quick question. I just wanted to, is this a, go figure, my computer goes off. The increase decrease in the third column, where we added 1,000 to instruction and removed from the guidance counseling. Did we take away some counseling services, or is this just a repurpose, like a
It's a repurpose.
recode?
Yeah, it's just a recode. It's all within the same budget manager, Jennifer Green, and so she's moving money so that she can pay for credit by exam.
Works for me, thank you.
Okay, board, do you have any further questions? Okay, seek a motion on item E. Mr. Sharpie made a motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Martin. Call for the vote. Okay, it's approved unanimously. Thank you. We'll go to item H, adopt a resolution number 2022-14 for Series 2012 bond redemption. Ms. Thompson?
Yes, I just couldn't leave this on the consent agenda without noting, just for the public's knowledge, for someone who may not read every item on an agenda, the amount of money that we are saving by selling these bonds early is almost $3 million. As we are exploring the possibility of a bond next year, I think it's important to note that our administration and this team of 8, takes our fiduciary responsibilities on our shoulders and really, applaud our business office and Dr. Jackson for always being on the lookout for these opportunities. And so I just want to state the amount on the record of $2,921,778 of savings by selling these bonds when we're selling them. And that should not go without notice and without thanks, because those are dollars that can be put straight back into the classroom or into maintenance and operation or safety or whatever else it needs to go to for our children and our teachers. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
You bet.
Any further comments or questions, board? Okay, I seek a motion.
Motion.
Mr. Hanks made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Thompson. Call for the vote, and is passed unanimously. Mr. Murdoch is a non-vote. He left temporarily at 7:38 p.m. Okay, we'll go to item O, approve second semester regular school board meeting schedule.
Yes, sir. The only reason I asked for that to discuss is the February meeting is Valentine's Day, the 14th, and if the deadline for a bond call is the 17th, do we want to give ourselves some more time to have further discussions by moving it up 1 week?
It's the board's pleasure. It's the board's pleasure. It's a good point, and it's the board's pleasure. We just present them, and then you can kind of decide how you want to do
I
that.
just think 3 days, if we get hung up on any discussion, I think we're pushing it, and
Yeah, maybe do it the week before so that if we need another week.
to talk or bring in other
As long as the board
professionals.
agrees with that, and we can all be here, that's the board's pleasure. We can make those changes.
Let me look at February.
Danny's got a hot date on 14.
You know it.
Danny's got a hot date, right?
Let me pull this up.
So do we all, so thank you for bringing it
Don't
up.
mind not having to be here on that night. Good one, Dan. Good one, Dan.
What's the date?
The 7th would be the Tuesday before.
Solidarius, can you make that change? If that's the board's pleasure?
I just want to take a look at it first, I'm visual.
That's a good point, though.
February 7th would be the date.
Mr. Murdoch, there's a discussion about changing the meeting on from was it February 14th to February 7th?
February 7th?
Yes, because it being the 14th being Valentine's Day.
Who cares?
The bigger point was to have some room.
Some room to discuss further.
Hey, I'm looking at my calendar. Quit, leave me alone. Too many things.
That's a good point, because if we have more to discuss,
So
we'll
be
go
the
back.
1st February?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
First Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Need help over there?
No, I haven't set up a calendar that far ahead. So I will be off on there so I can make the 7th.
Okay.
And I don't care if we do the 14th, so it's fine. It's a joke. Laughing at me, start laughing with me.
Okay, we're laughing with you, we're laughing with you.
Totally with you.
And that change.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
a good
Someone would
point.
make a motion with the stated change? Yeah,
Go for
I'll make a motion.
okay. You want to state kind of the change, state the change? or you wanna make-
I would like to, motion to move our February board meeting to February 7th.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Mr. Hanks made the motion with the minute change, seconded by Ms. Crutcher. Call for the vote. It is passed unanimously. Thank you. We go to item S, receive and approve first amended and restated agreement for limitation on appraised value pursuant to chapter 313 of the Texas Code with Lyondell Chemical. Mr. Hanks?
I know I'm the problem child tonight. I want clarity on, the Article 4, where it talks about protection against loss of future district revenues, that under no circumstances will the value that we receive be diminished, correct?
That's what the record says. And so, Mo Casey helps us with our 313 agreements. And so they do a really good job of kind of vetting them for our school district. I mean, I don't necessarily do it, myself, but Ms. McDowell, I believe we would be
Yes,
in
that's my
the right place
understanding
with that.
Okay. And then really the language is really just to change the designation of employees on their end. Perfect. That's all I needed.
Do we know why the designation of the change? Why are they going from 25 to 1 employees?
I don't know.
That was kind of alarming, but,
Well, it's the comptroller changed the definition of what a qualified employee is, and so what they had had listed.
okay.
And when the 313 agreement was put into place, they, now they only qualify for one. So they want to make sure that this continues on and works
And that it-
properly. So that's what this amendment is for, to change it from 25 to 1.
Thank you for the
that.
clarity.
It made me think they were going from this many employees
Oh,
to
no,
this
they're-
many.
they're staying
They still have the
status quo.
same number of
Yes, ma'am.
employees, it's just their definition of
Their
them.
definition.
So they can continue a chapter 313 agreement with just one qualifying?
Yes,
Yeah.
as long as we go along with this amendment and move forward.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Man, the state
That was
does
my
some funny-
questions, Mr.
funny
President.
things,
Okay.
don't
Well,
they?
and you know, there's only a few districts in the state that even can take advantage of the 313 agreements. And so
Right.
They sunset them the last time, and so there is
Yeah.
some talk about bringing them back, and we certainly are in favor of that. I didn't include that in our legislative update, but certainly that's another one that I think we stand to gain if they were to come back. I think the district wins. I think we agree that the district stands to win here.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure.
Okay, board, any further questions on item S? Okay, I seek a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Shopping,
Second,
seconded by Ms. Thompson, call for the vote. Okay, is, 6 in favor with 1 abstention by Ms. Crutcher. Okay, and with that, we'll go to item 12, action and or discussion items. A, approve proposed 2023-2024 LaPorte ISD academic calendar. Do we have a presentation? Yes.
But I did ask Dr. Brown to come and give you all an update, just so that you can, if you have any questions for her.
Good evening. You should have a packet right in front of you with the
Yes.
calendar. So I am going to highlight for you the proposed calendar that we have. We had Jennifer Green led the work, and so I'm thankful for Jennifer. What we did is we started working on our calendar probably starting in September. And so for a few months, we started to look at different options. So we came up with option draft A and draft B. And so in November 14th, we had the DIC meet, and we showed them both options. We got feedback from both, and then we ended up having a survey go out to the whole district, and that was November 16th through the 30th. So I want to share with you some of the quick things, the highlights of the calendar draft A that we're proposing for next school year. So if you look, you'll see that our teachers will return on August the 3rd, and that is a Thursday. And you will see that we have the first day of school would be on the 15th, which is a Tuesday. Remember, our ninth graders will start the day before, which would be that Monday. but officially the first day of school for everyone else would be that 15th. You will also notice on the second sheet that I gave you, it's kind of like a chart. Here are the highlights of dates that it's important for you to see. For instance, what we also did differently this year is we were listening to teachers. They wanted extra days for planning, just for them. And so if you look at the calendar, we have professional learning days, which are in green, and we also have instructional planning days, and there's 4 of those, which are days that are just teacher work days. So those are days just for the teacher. Keep in mind that a teacher contracted days is 187 days. So whatever we adhere to, we have to have 187 day of work days. Students have to have 75,600 minutes within a school year. And so if you look at our instructional calendar, what we also wanted to adhere to is in October, we get that October stress time. So what we want to ensure is October the 5th is a professional learning day, which is a student holiday. Then on the 6th, which is a Friday, and the 9th would almost be an extended weekend for our teachers also, so students and teachers. So that's one of the things we wanted to make sure that we keep in October. The other thing that you would notice is if you look at, November stays the same, if you look at December, our Christmas break will start on the 18th, and we will have up to January the 1st. So on the 2nd, it's still a student holiday in January, but that will be an instructional day where teachers work day. So this is their day to come back, get ready, and then on the 3rd, we'll have a professional PD day, which is a district day. Also, in addition, if you look at February, we have the 16th, which is again, professional learning day, which is a district PD day. And then also on the 19th, it's a student staff holiday. March, spring break is 11th to 15th. We looked at other districts around us, so everyone has that same spring break. We also have Good Friday, and you also see on April the 1st, it's a student staff holiday. If you look in May of 2024, we have early release on the 23rd. On the 24th would be our graduation for our high school. Our academy would have been on the 23rd. And then you would notice that the 3 days on the 28th, 29th, and 30th are called exchange days. And those are teacher days where if they do any or attend any professional development outside of their work days within the school year, let's say a Saturday they went to a conference, those hours would count towards those exchange days, so they would not have to come or attend 28, 29, depending on what they've done throughout the year, okay? Overall, if you look back on some important things to know, is semester 1, there will be a total of 78 instructional days. Semester 2, 91 days, so a total of 169 days. What I also want you to keep in mind though, is with this calendar, which was the majority of what our community has decided is their favorite, which is draft A, we have 1.83 days for any disaster that may happen, meaning makeup. So it's not many. So if anything happens in terms of a hurricane, where we have to close school, we're really only playing with 1.83 days. If that's the case, that means we would have, if it's more than 1.83 days, we would have to take away some of our holidays to make up for those instructional days. In addition, just to, again, professional learning days, there's a total of 11 professional learning days, district days. Instructional planning days, again, that's teacher days, there's 4. And those 3 exchange days at the end of the year. Questions?
So I know you mentioned that the August 3rd is the teachers start back. Is that new hires or is that everybody?
That would be every teacher on contract. New hires, we normally bring them back a week earlier, so that would mean...
Is this a week earlier than normal?
Well, it would be 2 days earlier, so it'll be the 3rd and the 4th. So last year we started around the 7th also, like the 2nd week of August. So really, we're starting maybe 2 days in Thursday and Friday of the 3rd and the 4th of this year.
They still have them on fall.
Yes, basically how they...
Well, what about is the start date pushed up as well for the kids?
Start date last year was on that Wednesday, so really it was really only, it's a day ahead.
But for the teachers, it's a full week, basically. I know they're going back Thursday and Friday, but they're
Right.
cutting off a week of their vacation, essentially.
Well, we are in a sense, but again, playing with these days, if you really notice, we really, there was a lot of talk about even giving a whole week off in October, a whole week off, and some districts do that. We didn't even have days to play with like that. So honestly, what we have done to give that October a longer weekend, February just a day of a longer weekend, takes up a lot of our days.
I got a question. Why is October 6th and 9th a student and staff holiday?
We were just trying to build in some of those days that teachers have.
That is the
Okay.
request, yeah.
That's the
request.
This calendar reflects more of what a teacher has asked for, more
Okay.
than any calendar that I've ever seen.
And I don't disagree, we're having a little fall break there, but as a teacher, I know, and I get the reason why on election day about not having students, because using the school facilities as polling places and all that. But I just, on the flow of things, I just like having students show up on Monday and then being off another day and then coming back on Wednesday. I love to see maybe like that one of those days, maybe that Monday the 9th be pushed to the 6th, and that way it's like the students are off and then you got the kids coming back on Wednesday the 8th, and who knows, if the Astros win another World Series back to back, they can go attend the parade in Houston, but I just like, as far as that flow, just having the students come on Monday and then getting off on Tuesday and then coming back on Wednesday, it kind of disjointed. I don't know. As a teacher, for me, it's just the flow.
And you speak from a teacher's perspective as well as a board member. But I'll tell you, I was in those meetings with the DEIC as well, and our staff, and when I say staff, I'm talking about our teachers that are in that meeting. They have vetted this thing, and they have looked at each one of these things, and things that I thought that they would have winced at, or the things that they loved. Mm-hmm. Am I right? Some of the folks that are on the DEIC, and so I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying we have literally allowed them to help us to build this. And it's kind of, I thought they would have asked to not have to start when we start too.
I've come from a family educator. I've never heard one ever say, "Hey, let's cut off summer vacation time." Mm-hmm. And every year we're coming. It's confined down every year.
July now.
Well,
I really don't like that.
But I will tell you this, we either have to start earlier or we have to end later. So that means one of the big issues is no one wants to come back up on Memorial Day. And so they were adamant that after Memorial Day, no one wants to come back. So if we had extended our school day to after Memorial Day, then we definitely could start later in August. But it's a give or take. So it's either or. Either we start early, we end at Memorial Day, before Memorial Day, or we have to continue after Memorial Day. Because there are some districts who start later, but they go into like the second week of June. So it's really what advice we want to choose.
So we got to find a way to cut 2 days. Can I go back to David's point on the November 7th? Mm-hmm. Does our district get financial gain from allowing use of our space for elections?
No, it was certainly being done long before I got here, but I think it's just been a cooperation between the district and the city and the county.
I don't know. I was told we shut down those schools, and that not every school, for record, is being utilized for election space. We shut down the district that day to allow this. The city has ample space to set up elections. Harris County they have numerous facilities in our town that they can use. I don't like it because you're opening it up to, in our political climate, there's some strange people that are in those schools, kind of wandering around with our teachers, right? It's safe because we don't have our kids there, but you got your full staffs there. I don't like that we do that. Mm-hmm. I propose you cancel that November 7th, and we ask the city, the county, whoever it is, go find another spot to do their elections.
Okay.
They do that for all these other things.
So I'm not arguing with you, Jeff, but here's the deal. We asked our staff, what did they think? And most of the staff, there were more teachers that voted for this than I'll guarantee you that it was parents. So Now, if you want us to go back, we can go back and look at these things. But I'm
proposing.
telling you, we're gonna run into some questions on, why did you ask us if you're gonna change what we're doing?
Right,
That's
you keep
all
it the
I'm
same,
saying.
but did you guys
That's all
ask them about November the 7th? It was always just a given that that is a set in stone that we have to do that.
We don't
This is
have-
one opportunity that we do not have to do. We can move that
We
on.
don't have to do that, but we do know that districts such as ourselves on voting day, on the day that is November voting day, most schools have that as a professional development
How
day
many
where
schools
students.
hosted voting this year?
7 campuses.
7 campuses?
CK
Seven.
Local is a policy that requires us as an entity to, if they want to use our space, allow them to. That doesn't mean we have to cancel school, but they use us heavily.
But they would have to use the campus
So we would have to give them the gym or the cafeteria and then man that while school is going
or the
on.
library.
Yeah, so it is
CK
required of
Local.
us, that's right, it's required of, because I tried to fight it. We looked into it because it was so much, it's a lot. They use a lot of our campuses, but that ran out of steam quickly pertaining to policy.
So I want to ask the board their pleasure.
we would have to
Do you
change our
want us
policy.
to look at the possibility of that?
Chris?
You changed the policy, I'd have to look and make sure there's nothing in state election law that
There is,
requires.
it's election code 43.3031.
We'd have to look at that.
Yeah.
Policy can be changed, but if it's
Yeah.
required by the election
But
code,
they can use our campuses.
yeah, well, we'd have to look at that.
Free of charge and all that goes with it, so we have to provide that. But we can look into it to find if there's more we can do.
I mean, on a totally separate issue is the fact of having in the middle of a week to get childcare for kids
Yeah.
on a Tuesday.
I hate it as a teacher. I mean, especially math, when everything kind of flows and builds, and you're starting something on Monday, and then, they're gonna be off for a day, and then coming back.
Then
on
you're
Wednesday.
coming back, yeah.
I'm just, I mean, I get, and I understand draft day was preferable, and I agree. If I was a teacher voting, I'd vote for A too, over B, just on the placement of holidays and all that. But I think to Jeff's point on that, I think, there could be some tweaking, I think. But does it have to be passed tonight? Is there a deadline or not?
No,
So
this
we
doesn't
can-
have to be passed tonight. We did what is generally done. We followed some of the things that's been
Yeah.
done in the past. And, what I don't want to see, and I'm not saying that you're asking this, but I don't want our staff, when I'm talking our teachers, I don't want them to think that we're bringing them something, because last year, let me just give you an example. Last year, I was a big proponent of October. I'd learned what was going on in some other districts, and I said, at least look at it. Just look at it for our school district. We don't have to do it, but we need to explore it. And I think people got really excited about it, and then when it came time for it, it was just not feasible for LaPorte, it was feasible for other districts, in other areas. And so I did get some flack back from that. Well, why did you ask us, Dr. Jackson, if you're not going to trust us to make a schedule that we have to live with? And I got people to say that to me respectfully. And so that's all I'm saying. We can look at this. You don't have to adopt this tonight. If you give us what you want us to kind of go back and talk about, we can have some conversations with DEIC in January.
Right. So
All right? Doesn't have to be adopted.
Yeah, November 7th would be an easy thing, because really it's having kids back at school, which would give us an extra, because right now we have 1.83 days to play with.
So,
So it
Dr.
would give
Bowman,
us an extra
Could we
2.83.
could we cart off an area of a
Yes.
campus if that were the
And
case?
it's done a lot in other
Okay.
districts, doing it during the day, and we can manage that.
I think it was told to me, and I don't know where and how now, but I think it was told to me when I first got here that part of that was safety of
Yeah.
people coming
Oh, there's
in.
no question.
And then, of course, COVID came in. And then we started talking about, the health part of it, having other people walk into the buildings and expose our folks to it as well. So, but it's certainly something that we can look at.
I personally would like to see what our attendance looked like this year on that Monday before the election day, because if it is being impacted anyway, it might be where we should make some adjustments. I mean, that seems logical. If my kid's not gonna go to school on Tuesday, chances are I'm gonna be out of town, I'm gonna not have them go on Monday.
If it is a requirement that we have to let these people use our facilities, is it not possible to send it to the bus barn, like other campuses that do not have kids in them, like the old Baker basketball? There's a lot of places aren't being used. Why can't
They
we?
do it by areas to ensure and I'm not gonna say this correctly, but in which it serves, right? The
Proximity.
areas, yeah, the proximity of the voter. But all these can be looked at and reviewed. It just wasn't something we did because.
I'm not advocating change the whole calendar. I just think, for me, it's, I've never liked November 7th. And if that's a possibility to take that away, I would just like to see us not have to start the 3rd and the 4th. And that's a basic tweak. I mean, I don't think anybody, if we figure out a way to like, say, take out the 7th and then have them not have to start that week.
And those are easy fixes, but what happens is we will have to trade one of those PD days for that.
Right.
Which is what people wanted, but it can happen.
Well,
that's easy, we can fix it.
Well, let me ask you this on the PDs, because I'm assuming that that's the one in green, okay? See, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I see 9, 10, 11 green days highlighted. And then there's instructional planning, which is in purple there, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it supposed to be required for instructional planning?
No, it's not required, but again, this is what we wanted to, like Dr. Jackson said, the parameters of this draft is based on our teachers' feedback. And one of the things that teachers want is more time. And so what we want to ensure is we give them their own teacher workday time where we're not pulling them for any staff development on their district
They want to be left.
Right. And I will tell you, looking at August the 3rd, if you count those 5, 6, 7 days, every district across every Region 4 and other regions, at least it's 7 days or more. So we want to, because if you notice, those are days, they're not only are they PD days, they're professional learning, but they're also teacher work days also, but we put them in green.
Like the 14th, probably, or something, at least before the first day of school, work day, yeah.
Let me also say this, and Dr. Brown, any of you principals, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I'll certainly can take that criticism and rebuke. The good thing about PD days is although a teacher gets up and comes to work on that day, if children are not in the building, it still has a different feel to it and a different vibe because I can plan, but it's not having 22 kids in a classroom for 7.5 hours. So it's a break to some degree. It's a stress reliever to be able to plan. It's a gift, and so we can work on some of these small fixes. These are not big issues. I just want us to be careful to where we don't change the whole calendar because we got a lot of feedback from that. And I got a lot of flack last year.
One thing I would wish for the board not to do is they have gone out to teachers and asked for input. They have had a committee to work on this for months. And we're asking them to bring us back all this input, and then we're telling them in necessity, this is wrong, change all this or whatever, when we're not the experts. We're not the one in the classroom, right? So I think we should err to what the teachers and the principals and the people on the DEIC committee have said, and the public has voted whether they wanted option A or B. So I read a lot on social media of people's back and forth of why they liked A and why they liked B, or this one works for my family, this one works for my family, or whatever, and A was overwhelmingly the choice. I know we're coming back to school 2 days early, or 1 day early from last year's calendar. I pulled it up while you were speaking, but I've always been of the opinion, sitting in this chair, that it's not my job in this chair to serve on every committee that LaPorte ISD has. It is my job to listen. And to listen to a committee's recommendation, yes, I'm going to listen to their recommendation and err to what they said they wanted. I want the teachers to have the time that they need. If they need that break in October, I want them to have that break in October. If it means they have to come back 2 days early, and they know this because they've seen this, they had the opportunity to vote on this as well, did they not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I did just want to point out that this calendar, the way that it's set up, this is with an additional, with February being as crazy as it is and having leap year. So like us having the 1.84 days or 83 days for weather issues, this is with an additional calendar day. So I know that y'all put a lot of time into it too.
When you guys use words like overwhelming, like how many people actually replied to the survey?
We had a total of 1,800 and, I want to say, where's Adam? It's about 1,800.
It was 1,800 and change.
Yes, 1,800 and change votes. And this was the majority of draft A.
Like how many drafts were there?
Two.
Just two.
There were two drafts. Now, keep in mind also, if we are thinking about, not starting on the 3rd, teachers have to have 187 contracted days. So either we are extending work day, teacher day until after Memorial Day, or we have to take away some of those holidays that we have in October and February.
Or November
But they
7th.
have to have. So we take away 3rd and 4th. We gotta find 2 more days somewhere, because they have to have a total of 180.
I think November 7th is something that
Is
Yes.
one.
that's
That could be
doable.
one.
Well, November 7th is still a teacher day,
Yeah,
because that's
not
only a
right.
student holiday. That's a teacher work day, so they're still working that day.
Oh, that still counts as.
Yeah, that's just a student holiday. So if we want to start on the 7th, we've got to find 2 extra days somewhere.
So let me ask the board, and if I may, is the question, should kids be in school on November the 7th? Because teachers are here.
Yes, teachers are here,
I
that's
think
their work
I
day.
think I did hear not coming Monday and then being off Tuesday and coming back. So that's something we can look at.
Wait, if I, oh, go ahead.
I think they ought to be in school. We ought to be able to protect them for one day while people come in and vote. We can section them off.
Absolutely.
Let them do it.
So that gives us
That's
now
an easy-
2.83 days.
Yes, that gives us 2.83 days to play with if there's a disaster next year in.
There's a
in
flood or a-
Yes, yes. So, I mean, that's an easy fix. The only fix that, my concern would be the 3rd and the 4th, because we would have to find 2 extra days to replenish, the 187 days of a teacher contracted workday.
Are your new teachers starting before into July?
Yes, they would start, normally they have training, which is a week ahead. So it will probably start, and I haven't spoken to Angie and her team, but normally it would start it will probably start either the 28th or the 31st, probably
But
31st.
for new teachers, those folks, they're 187 plus what those days are, and they're paid for that week,
Yes,
right?
they are paid.
No, I get that totally,
No.
but when is that, in the history, have we ever had them start in July? Is that a new thing totally?
Remember.
I mean, I know everything, I'm the antagonist on this, but I think it's important that we ask questions. This is something we vote on. Like, you guys have a committee. I'm not trying to minimize your committee, but it's brought to us for a vote. And I'm just telling you, like, we're gonna get flack if we're pushing teachers' start dates into July. That seems a little bit excessive to me. And maybe I'm the only one, and that's fine.
And I don't think, and I'm not see a conflict with what Jeff is saying as opposed, and what the people voted on. Draft A, from what the public and what teachers have voted was that, and I don't see, I agree with A too. I think I think we can make it more perfect, on the calendar if we could.
We have teachers within our district who have been on these plans before. I know we have a couple of, well, at least we have an assistant principal, but there's been some other teachers who have come from districts that have these plans. I'd just like to know how they made up those days before. So if it's comparable to how other districts have made up the days, it's just worth trying. I mean, if it's 1 year, if it doesn't work out, we can have the option of fixing it, is how I look at it.
I don't have to answer this. I think it's also important to benchmark against our surrounding districts. We've talked numerous times about how difficult it is to attract quality talent, teachers, administrators, whatever it is. If it's a choice of the salary's pretty much the same, but you got to start a week earlier into your summer vacation, as opposed to if you go work at Pasadena or Deer Park, Baytown, whoever it is. I just think, like, I'm coming from a staffing background, that's going to play heavily into my decision to want to come work for LPISD. It sounds silly, I know that, but I think it's the reality we live in.
The good thing is, the board does not have to vote on this tonight to all of us. And we can go back as administration and have some conversations about that. I don't think anybody is gonna down a hill over a day or two, so we can have.
And I think we're early too, because other school districts haven't really brought their plans up as far as their calendar.
It was our goal to be early this year, because if it was a new calendar, we wanted
Right.
people to be able to start
Yeah.
planning out. Because that's another thing that we hear, people wanna plan their year out, and,
Yes.
you know, folks get that calendar and they start mapping out what's gonna happen in July already, like you said. So we'll bring this back, in January. Okay.
And the other thing is, Region 4 has asked us to complete a survey of what our recommendations were going to look like for our calendar. So we can follow up with them and see when they were going to share with us what our neighboring districts were looking at. So they were doing a survey of all the Region 4 area, just for that purpose.
Okay.
But I wanna, and we're not gonna beat this horse anymore, but I wanna just say to the board that no two calendars are exactly alike. Because again, our staff walked in with what I was thinking, because some districts to the north of us are giving an entire week off in October. And then they come back and go 3 weeks and they give an entire week in November. And we were just saying, different communities, different values, different ways of looking at things. That's all we're saying. We can continue to look at this. All right, we are early, and so we can bring it back.
Okay, board, you've heard the discussion.
Thank you, Ruth.
And so, with that, seek a motion to either approve, deny, or postpone. No, I didn't, or do we need a postpone, table?
Table.
Table.
Okay, you need a motion for that, huh?
I make a motion to table.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Hanks, and then motion. Seconded by Ms. Thompson. And call for the vote. Okay, it is 3-6 in favor, 1 against. Mr. Shopping. Okay, thank you. And then with that, go to item 13, action on closed session items. We don't have any, so we go to item 14, closing comments of the board trustees and superintendent. A, attendance at recent district and community events. B, announcement of upcoming district and community events. C, outstanding performance by district staff and students. Board, do y'all have any comments tonight?
I do.
One.
Oh, go ahead. Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I think with my stomach a lot, I would like to thank Mr. Wilkins and his staff for the wonderful dinner that you provided. Very filled and satisfying.
Yes.
I just want to again, just congratulate Dr. Bromley on your accomplishment. That's well deserved. We had our last Becoming a Man meeting this past week at LaPorte Junior High. Again, I think we had 39 kids at this session, and these young men are showing up several hours after school. This meeting didn't start till 6:30. They learned fire safety. Again, LaPorte Fire Department participated. We've had numerous organizations and people within the community respond and participate in that program. And it was really, I really had an aha moment going to the junior high basketball game the following week, and each of those young men stood up and shook my hand. And 6 months ago, I don't think they would have ever thought to do that. So it's making a difference, and it's catching on, and the support's been fantastic. Tomorrow, the vaping crisis. I know we've advertised that a lot on our website at the high school. That's super, super important. I know I've got a high school student myself, and I hear stories, and we definitely need to get the word out to have people show up and hear those resources. And then I also sat on a conference call with Ms. Lopez in the CTE building. They're doing some fantastic things. I really did not know all the certificates and programs that we offer our students as options to get into the professional workforce. They were seeking some advice in terms of what do you look for in an employer, but they're doing fantastic work over there, and they just kind of fly under the radar a little bit. So I'm hoping we can bring more attention and spotlight to them in the coming spring. And last but not least, I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. I know that it's the hustle and bustle time of year, but hopefully everybody gets some R&R and spend some quality time with friends and family. So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Good job, Danny.
I just want to say thank you to so many of the community organizations that are pouring back into our schools, into the families in our community and stuff right now. The holidays are a tough time for a lot of families, and I've seen lots of organizations that, you know, we've got Blue Santa, Toys for Tots, those organizations. Agape Centric is a local organization that's giving back to families, but they're giving in other ways too. So we have the mentorship program that's been working. We have the Youth for Christ at DeWalt that's been going on and seeing some amazing things happening there. We have Terry's working with the Partners in Leadership. We have so many different people who are contributing to the success of our students, and it's really community, that community outreach. So I just want to say thank you to our community members for getting involved, and there's always room for more people. So if they ever want to come join and find out how they can help, we've got lots of people to direct them to.
Anybody else before I go? Okay. I just want to echo Mr. Shoppy's and Mr. Hanks' comments, and Ms. Crutcher's as well. And I just want to add, I'd like to give a little congratulations to our attorney, Chris Gilbert, who was selected as the School and Education Super Lawyers for 2022. So, and I'd like to throw in Lisa McBride is also, and she has been involved in training us board members for some time now. So just want to give her kudos to both of y'all.
I will tell her you said that.
Okay. And with that, it is 8:18 now. And so with that, we're adjourned.
All right.
Good, it's because we started so early. I was like,
We can start that early all the time.